The following is a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
From the birthplace of modern winemaking, Sonoma, California, welcome to The Winemakers. Local experts Sam Couturi, Bart Hansen, and Brian Casey, along with host John Myers, invite you to listen in as they discuss all facets of winemaking. So sit back, pour yourself a glass, and let's hear what the guys have to say this week.
Okay, that was a cold opening.
Perfect.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Winemakers. I'm John Myers with Bart Hansen and Brian Casey this morning. And
Enrique Tirado.
Yes.
From Concha y Toro, but specifically he's the winemaker for Don Melchor, which, you know, if people aren't very familiar with Chilean brands, this is the probably the most iconic wine brand coming out of Chile, and this Cabernet Sauvignon I think has been in the top 100 wines 10 times. He, I think for the 2018 vintage, scored 100 points.
Yes.
So we're lucky enough to have him here on the podcast. Thank you, Joan, for bringing him in, and
Joan
allowing
Stagnito,
us to,
welcome.
Yeah, to have this
And
conversation.
that was
you know, we got to set the stage here. So podcast mascot Cash tried to jump up. If you've ever been here, tried to jump up on one of the theater seats in the tasting house, and the theater seat did what it did. So
it crashed.
Well, they fold, and sometimes we lose small children in those seats, but I've never actually seen Cash try and get up there. Normally he sneaks up on the couch over in the other room and tries to fall asleep. Actually, one night he did get locked in here. He was so quiet that I left, locked up everything, set the alarm, and I think Joan finally came looking for him and heard him barking, and I had locked him in the tasting room, which was one of my great fears, and I had told Jasmine not to do it, and then I was the one that ended up doing it. So,
well, welcome, Enrique, to Wet Sonoma.
Thank you so much. Yes, hello, good morning to everyone. Thanks you for this opportunity to talk about Don Melchor, about Cabernet Sauvignon from Chile, and more precisely from Puente Alto. Puente Alto is the appellation, located. We are very close to the Andes Mountains, so we have a huge influence from the Andes Mountains. So I am so happy to be here. So thank you so much.
Do you get this kind of weather down in?
Yeah, but this is great. Today, if you have rain, I think it's a good news. It is a good news.
It has been around here, that's for sure. I mean, we've broken a years-long drought pretty much last year, and this year is really making all of the reservoirs full. And obviously, you know, Bart, you're in the fields more than I am, so how's it looking out there?
Well, I mean, you know, last year we were able to fill all of our ponds here. We'd been on probably a good 6-year drought, and kind of saw the effects of it, I think, in the vineyards. And we are starting off good this year, and hopefully all of our ponds will be full and reservoirs will be full this year. We're on a good path.
Well,
so
we just had a cold snap in general. I mean, this is
right.
I remember someone telling me about the iguana warnings in Florida, and I don't know if you've ever heard of that certain times in Florida where they have iguanas, it gets so cold that they will fall out of the trees.
Yeah.
So that will actually, you'll hear that on the news in the morning. If it's that cold, they'll say, look out for falling iguanas. And I know that they just did that the other day, said be careful for the iguanas.
Enrique, so for our listeners, can you set the stage a little bit about where you are in Chile? I mean, you said close to the Andes Mountains.
Perfect.
Can you give us an idea of like, as far as where it falls in the country, the elevation where the winery is, and then when you look up, what's the highest elevation that's affecting your weather?
Yes, because you know Chile is a long and narrow country, so we have different valleys from the north to the south.
Right.
We are located in Maipo Valley. Maipo Valley is in the central area, but more precisely in Puente Alto. Puente Alto is a small appellation within Maipo Valley, and as I said, we are at the foot of the Andes mountain, so we have a huge influence from the Andes. in terms of soil, weather, everything. The vineyard is a single vineyard. We have 127 hectares. Acres is about 314, 15. So it's a single vineyard, mainly Cabernet Sauvignon. 90% in the vineyard we have Cabernet Sauvignon, and then we have Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot. But the base is the Cabernet Sauvignon. It is a alluvial terrace. We are located on the north bank of the Maipo River. So it's a alluvial soil, poor in terms of nutrients, stony soil, rocky soil. It is poor, but at the same time, it is a complex soil. It is not just stony and sandy soil. We have a lot of different elements, nutrients, and that is very important. At the end, we have a poor soil, but at the same time, it's a complex soil. And if you want to make a great Cabernet Sauvignon, you need this kind of soil. So it's alluvial terrace, north bank of the Maipo River, at the foot of the Andes. So we have a huge influence. Every night, cold wind blow down from the Andes and refresh this area at the foot of the Andes. So we have a great difference between day and night temperatures.
You have the big diurnal shift.
Yes, and that, that is very important if you want to achieve nice and correct maturity, ripeness at the end of the season.
Because it is a warm valley, correct? I mean, like during daytime temperatures is considered for Chile. Is it a warmer growing district?
No,
or is it
is not a warmer. Probably southern area is warmer than Puente Alto or Maipo Valley.
Right.
It's warm, but as a maximum temperature we have in summer we have 30 sorry again in Celsius, but 84 Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So 84. So it's not the warmer, but it's warm. But this specific area, Puente Alto, as we are beside the Maipo River, in front of the canyon, so we receive a great influence from the Andes every night.
Yeah.
From cold wind blow down from the Andes every night and refresh this area. And as I said, it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. The first vintage was 1987.
For Don Melchor.
For Don Melchor, yeah.
Right.
Don Melchor, yeah. Yeah, good question, yeah. Conchitoro, as a winery, it was founded in 1883 by Melchor Conchitoro. The founder was Melchor Conchitoro. So in honor to the founder, in 1987, we created, because I started the year 93 in the company, and in charge of this wine since 97. I was in the team the year in 95, 96, but in charge of Don Melchor since 1997. So it is our iconic wine, our top wine from Conchitoro. But in 2019, we created Viña Don Melchor Winery, as an independent winery within Conchitoro Group.
Right.
It's a winery within Conchitoro Holding, but since 2019, it is an independent winery in Conchitoro Group.
And so in the 1800s, what was the reason for starting a winery? Did they just sort of look around and say this would be a great place for grapes? And how did the grapes get there? And how did they decide on Bordeaux varietals?
Yeah, because it was it is a good place, nice place for making red varieties, mainly red varieties. But also at that time, in this area we had red and white varieties. But after many years, today, we have more selection, the specific area for some specific varieties. So today, Maipo and Puente Alto is 90-95% red varieties.
Wow. And mostly Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon, 90%.
Yeah.
Puente Alto, this small appellation, is really small. We have more or less 800 acres. 90% Cabernet Sauvignon, and then Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, and that's all. But the base is the Cabernet Sauvignon. The soil is a perfect soil for making Cabernet Sauvignon base. Rocky, poor soil, good drainage.
I've seen some pictures, and it sort of reminded me a little bit of, it's got some sort of Chateauneuf look to it, but it's a little like grayer, darker. Yeah. And it almost reminded me of what Christophe Baron is doing up in Walla Walla. It's got some of those big rocks. But then you said you also have lime and clay there
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah,
that was sort of part of your... You said, what was 127 hectares you had there, but I think you've broken up that vineyard into 151 parcels or something.
Yeah, that is very amazing, because when I started 95 in the team, I remember at the end of 96, I went to the vineyard. Okay, I went many times, but one specific time, I remember that. I went to the vineyard and I saw the vineyard and I thought, we must divide it. At that time, we had 35 different blocks. So we divided the vineyard. I draw the vineyard, and at the end, we divided the vineyard according to the soil, because it's the same soil origin. But as you said, we have more or less clay, more or less sand, more or less different nutrients. More or less amount of water in the soil. So according to the soil, according to the vineyard expression, and the most important, according to the wine expression, we subdivided the vineyard. And today we have 151 small parcels. So all the vineyard management, the vinification is made according to that. The idea is each parcel adds to the final blend, different aromas, different flavors, different texture. One parcel adds more red fruit, floral note, delicate tannins. Another parcel adds more concentration, more tannins, more powerful wine. Another parcel adds more freshness, more energy. So
when you have that many parcels that you're fermenting, then at some point you're sitting down with all of those samples and then deciding what's going to be the final blend.
You're right. Yes. In summary, go
ahead.
In summary, during the vinification process, we blend 2 parcels. So in summary, we have 70 to 80 tank fermentation, and then free run wine and pressed wine. When the vinification is done, we have 150, 200 wines from Don Melchor vineyard.
And is that all just to make this one wine?
Yes, and then we taste. Okay, I taste every day, but harvest time for us, is April, mid-March to end of April. So after, when the vinification is done, all the process. July, we spend 1 week tasting and looking the best, choosing the best wine, and we make just one wine from the Melchor vineyard. Always we have selection. We use, in the final blend, we use 60-70%. The idea is to make the best wine, the best quality every year. So we can use the different parcel more or less from the different parcel in order to achieve to make the best quality every year. And not only the best quality, also the best personality, the best character, the best Don Melchor wine.
To express the terroir of the region.
Perfect.
Right?
Thank
and
you.
you have a beautiful terroir there. It's this stunning photos right at the base of the Andes. It's beautiful.
It is fantastic. Yes, it is really fantastic. Yeah.
So obviously, this many years, you're starting to learn which lots you can put together. Do you find every year that generally certain sections of the vineyard go into it, or are there some years where you have lots that you feel are going to make it and they just don't?
Yes, you're right. Yes, some lots are consistently every year in the final blend. and another some lots 1 year, 2 years, yes, 2 year, 1 year, no. So some lots are more consistent in the final wine. So according to the weather, in a warmer year, cooler year, normal year, we can use northern, southern, east, west.
Right.
From it's a single vineyard, but yeah, we can use. When we make the blend, the first day, I taste as a blind tasting. Always when you know this parcel or this wine comes from this parcel, so and it must be in the final
that expectation.
Blend because, because we put a lot of work in the vineyard. So first day I prefer to taste as a blind tasting. Okay, the variety Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, but try to make the best. And then the second day, why this parcel this year we use in the final blend, or why this parcel we are not going to use in the final blend. So, but in some area we have stony, poor, more stony soil. In some area we have more clay. So it is very interesting because at the end, my philosophy is to respect the natural expression. Try not to change, because it is a mistake if I try to make the same wine from each parcel.
Right.
Try to respect the finesse in this parcel, the energy in another parcel, the expression, the character, the different tannins, different texture. Because at the end, Don Melchor express a lot of different layers in terms of aromas, flavors, and this expression comes from the parcel concept.
And
Go ahead, Mark.
The initial blend is made 3 months, 4 months after harvest, and then how much time total will it spend in barrels?
You're right. Yes, you're right, because we made the final blend. We made 3 months after harvest, and then we spend the total barrel aging is about 15 months.
Okay.
In the last year, 15 months.
Yeah.
We use French oak, 100% French oak, 70% new, 30% when used.
And how many cases is this bottling, or are the bottlings?
Yes, more or less 15,000 cases.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Wow.
12 bottles.
And all of these vines originally came from Bordeaux? The old ones?
Originally, yes.
Okay.
It was
The budwood.
150 years ago. So we have the Cabernet Sauvignon. We have a master selection, unrooted. We don't use rootstock, and it's a master selection. And also, 15 years ago, we created our own Don Melchor master selection, more specifically from the vineyard, from one particular parcel.
And what was it? When did you guys decide that you were going to go from 100% Cabernet Sauvignon and that start including those other varieties?
Yes, at the beginning, Don Melchor was 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, and the first time that we added Merlot was in '93, the year '93. I remember I was in this tasting. I was in the team, but. '95. The year '95, we added 3% of Merlot. Then again, 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. And in '99, we added Cabernet Franc. Then in the last year, we added Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot also. But always the base is the Cabernet Sauvignon. And Don Melchor, it is a Cabernet Sauvignon expression. That's the idea. So over 95% we use Cabernet Sauvignon, but now it's not one Cabernet Sauvignon expression. It's we have a lot of different parcels, layers. So at the end, in my opinion, Don Melchor is a Cabernet Sauvignon blend. Yeah. Yes, we can add some touch of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, but the idea is to increase the Cabernet Sauvignon expression.
And for people that have had Bordeaux varietals, they're probably wondering, so I'll ask the question, why no Malbec?
Yeah. In Chile, and in this particular area...
Can I make a joke about Argentina here?
Well, but you know...
No disrespect, just having fun.
No, but in this place, in this terroir, Malbec is not a good terroir for Malbec, for making Malbec.
Right.
Cabernet Sauvignon is the king of varieties in this place, in this terroir. Then Cabernet Franc, also Petit Verdot are doing very well. Merlot is more 1 year yes, 1 year no, because in a warmer weather, in a warmer year, Merlot is difficult in this year, in this place, but it's doing very well. So the idea is to make a wine that really express the energy in one side, the red fruit, the floral notes, some mineral character like a graphite, like a ash called ash. So the red fruit, the Cabernet Sauvignon, the energy, and at the same time, the finesse, the balance, the harmony. We're very concerned about that. It's difficult to achieve both forces at the end, the energy and the finesse, but in this terroir, I think we have a fantastic terroir for making Cabernet Sauvignon with this kind of balance, with this kind of
you definitely
harmony.
get that like graphite mineral core to the wine.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the aromatics are on it, are just beautiful.
That was fine for me.
Yeah. So how old
my
are
taste.
these vines generally?
Yes, the vineyard, 80%. It's an old vineyard. It is 45 years old.
Yeah.
It was planted 150 years ago, but
Right.
we replanted many times.
Yeah.
So the old vineyard to the 80% of the vineyard, 45 years old.
Yeah, that's
and
legit.
the new vineyard, it is an average 10 to 20 years old.
Yeah.
So we have.
I mean, it's classic Cabernet. Not at all like you wouldn't say California.
No.
But it's
Cooler
just
climate,
beautiful.
which is right up my alley.
Right.
So can we talk about this wine? Is this the current vintage, the 2020?
It is. It is on the market. Yeah, it is on the market. 2020 was a challenging year because it was warmer than normal and drier. In 2020, we peaked 3-4 weeks earlier than normal.
Wow.
And also we had a smaller berries than normal. And it was warmer as a maximum temperature, because as a minimum temperature, it was very close to normal. So at the end, at night was cool. We picked earlier, small berries, smaller than normal berries. So that situation allowed us to maintain the red fruit, the energy, the freshness that you can see in this wine.
Yeah.
So in the final blend, we have 92% Cabernet Sauvignon, 6% Cabernet Franc, 1 Merlot, 1 Petit Verdot. In my opinion, as I said, the wine shows very clear this both side, as I said, the energy and the finesse. You can see some special transparency in this wine. The wine shows immediately the full expression, the full aromas and flavors.
Yeah. And you said 70% new oak,
New oak, 70%. Yes.
which I don't.
No, that's the beautiful thing about it is that you don't feel like you're having a
Incredibly
glass of
balanced.
Chateau 2x4.
Right.
So you're here in the United States. When did you arrive?
I just arrived yesterday night at the end because the
All right.
flight was delayed. So at the end, but yesterday night.
And
so,
so where are you off to? You have like any events you're doing, or are you just
Does he
going
even
to-
know?
Right? Do you even know? Should we ask your handlers?
yeah, we have a great schedule with some clients and yes,
But all over the country, or just here in?
No, just in California.
Awesome.
We are going to visit wine store, some restaurant, and also wine critics. So it's a full.
Are you on your way to do a tasting with a critic to have the wine scored?
No, just for
Just a
present
visit.
the new vintage.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so, what other wines? Obviously, this is the focus on this trip, I imagine. But what other wines are you responsible for?
I am focused on Don Melchor.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And does Don Melchor only make Cabernet?
Only this one wine.
One wine.
That's it.
That's it. So it's a concept. It's one winery. More than this, one history, one terroir, one wine, one team behind this wine.
So what do you drink when you're not working on your own wine?
I drink every day. Don Melchor.
Where were you before Don Melchor?
Yeah. So before Don Melchor, I was in charge for. So I've been working in Conchitoro for 30 years. It is my first and last company, winery. So I was in charge for many wines from Conchitoro, like Marqués de Casa Concha, Terruño, Amelia, many wines. Yeah. But I am focused on the Melchor since 1997. Also, I was co-winemaker for Almaviva. I don't know if you know Almaviva. Almaviva is a joint venture with between Conchitoro and Chateau Mouton Rothschild, like a Opus One here in Napa.
Yeah, right.
Almaviva is in Chile.
Yeah.
It's a Bordeaux concept made in Puente Alto beside Don Melchor. And also, we have Conchitoro has a Bonterra here in California.
Right.
Familiar with that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, remember they purchased it from
Bonterra, Fetzer and Bonterra. Yeah, today is Bonterra. But I am not involved in the winemaking process.
No, it's one of my favorite
Not
brands.
yet.
I love what Bonterra does here in the U.S. They make organically farmed wines at an incredible price for people that drink wine every day.
Absolutely, fantastic wine, and
What percent of your sales are in the United States?
In Don Melchor, it is the Don Melchor we export to 60, 70 different countries, and the most important are the United States, and Brazil and China, and then local market also, but we export to 70, 60%.
That global market is really interesting. We've got some friends from France, the Rollets, Xavier and Nicole Rollet, who have Arini Global, which is a fine wine think tank. And they're always talking about the Chinese market and how it's up and down Japan too. It's very interesting because they seem to buy a tremendous amount of fine wines in China.
Yes, it is.
Well, I remember the last time I went to Opus One that we did the whole tour, and we were talking to someone that said, if we wanted to, we could sell every single bottle to China, but we keep some. And I don't know if they were talking serious, but they said, China would take it all if we allowed them, but we have to have a presence here in the United States, in California, and in some other countries.
Opus One. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, interesting grip.
Yeah.
Big.
So can we let's talk about people that come to visit. I know Joan has been down to Chile, but have you ever been to Chile?
I haven't been to Chile. It's on my list.
Yeah.
The wineries of Chile are mind-boggling.
Yeah, please go to Chile. Yes, it's a fantastic country. We have different north, south, east, west. The coastal range of the Andes side, the south of Chile is fantastic. The Atacama Desert is very special. And in Don Melchor, we have the original house and the vineyard. So we have a Don Melchor experience. So if you we have a lot of tourists. So we have a Don Melchor experience.
And where do they come from? Is it mostly from a particular, like from Europe or
mostly from Brazil.
Huh.
and then the U.S.
Yeah.
Do Chilean nationals?
From Chile. Yeah, but it's not the most.
It's not a real
10%.
Right. Yeah.
But
I had no idea Brazil was such a presence in wine. You just don't think of that.
no, yes, it's a very important market for us.
Yeah. Well, what do you want with your beef, Bart? But a good cab, right?
Right.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
and you know me, that's where I came from specifically, was cab.
You
Bordeaux.
came from Brazil?
No, cabs in Bordeaux. That was always my fun.
But Bart, how would you like to do that as a winemaker? You're responsible to make the best one single Cabernet that you can make every year.
I and with a budget to support it, absolutely, right?
2020, we just received, not just, but 3 months ago, we received a great recognition from Rob Report magazine as the best of the best wine from Chile. So it is fantastic. It was when I finished the blend, I thought it is good. It is one of the best, but the wine was getting every day, every month, more and more quality, more and more complexity. So now it has a great expression and complexity in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're just responsible for the one wine, what are you doing most of the year?
I mean,
I don't want to get you in trouble, but I mean,
yeah, a lot of work behind just one wine, because I am in charge for all the technical side, from the vineyard, winemaking process, and also today I am CEO, also general manager of the Don Melchor winery. So also the commercial side and the communication, but I am very involved in the technical side. I go to the vineyard every week, 2-3 times, to the cellar. I taste during the harvest time. I taste every day. So I am very I really like to make the wine, to be involved in the decision. Yeah.
What is the retail price here in the United States for this wine?
Here is 150.
Okay.
yeah.
And Chile is I think the third largest importer into the United States, behind France and Italy. And then
Is that true?
Chilean wine.
Yeah, the U.S. is very important market for us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we have different wines, different region, different origin, different price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this has got to be.
At 150, it's definitely a fine wine category.
But this has got to be one of the most expensive wines that we sell from Chile here in the United States, right?
Yeah.
Huh. And so do they normally send you out, or are you always the one that's out on the road doing the meeting people and doing tastings?
Yes. I spend a lot of time in the communication side. Yeah. In tasting, meeting people, and talking about the Don Melchor, because we have the wine, but we must communicate. It is very important. So we had a lot of trip.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt, but I understand that is important, because the United States wine market does not think of Chile when they look for fine wine, right? We probably think mainly about value, like very good wines at a value, and we think of it as being more large producers. I mean, Concho Toro is a huge one. So you're doing something special here. The wine speaks for itself. So you would have to spend some time telling the story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very important.
What are your other markets? You said you had 50 or 60 countries that you export to. What's the second most important?
Yes. So the U.S., Brazil, China, Singapore, and then
anything in Europe?
In Europe, UK, United States, United Kingdom, and it is very important. And then in Central America, Panama, Mexico, Argentina also.
Yeah. And so what are you doing in your free time? You a cyclist or you like swimming? What are you doing?
I like sailing.
Oh,
I
nice.
love sailing. Yeah, I think it's
And yet you're in the mountains.
yeah. I love in the Pacific Ocean is cold, but also in south of Chile we have a great lake. So I love sailing. Yeah. Yes.
Beautiful
wine?
wine. Beautiful
I
wines.
would love to taste.
Really
a little bit more.
enjoying this.
Yeah, I think the thing that strikes me most about this wine is, for me, it's the aromatics. Like, there's that definite the definite graphite, which is very alluring, and then the just the Cabernet varietal. Also.
And Don Melchor chose the red fruit from Cabernet Sauvignon, and also some floral notes, and then this kind of mineral character.
100%.
Lots of the soil around here is volcanic. Being that you're in the Andes or right at the base, do you get volcanic soil at all?
Yes.
Or is this sand and silt from a river? Or where
It comes
is
down
your...
from
Yes,
the Andes,
yes,
right?
yes.
Alluvial.
At the end, all the soil that are at the foot of the Andes, we have a long range, Andes range, so it is a volcanic soil. Andean
Okay.
material,
All right.
volcanic. Then at the end in
So-
Chile, mostly we have volcanic soil.
How is overall climate change affecting you down in the Andes there?
Yes, in Don Melchor, as we are very close to the Andes, in front of the canyon, it's true. Today, in my opinion, in Don Melchor, 30 years ago, we have less extreme year. Today, in the last 10 years, probably we have this almost the same average temperatures, but we have cooler and warmer than in the past. Right. Also, we have in the last 10 years, we have normal year, but 2020 was the warmest year. The coolest year was 2013. So 10 years ago was the coolest. So in the last 10 years, we have more extreme weather condition. But as I said, we have the Andes. The weather in Puente Alto, in Don Melchor Vineyard, the weather is moderate by the
It's kind of a microclimate there.
Absolutely.
Well, and you're talking about something millions of years that has affected that area. That climate change is like beating its head against the wall there.
But we are concerned about that. We are looking. We are searching new vineyard management, new density, new road direction. How's the vineyard architecture in the future? So we are.
Have you been to Sonoma before?
Yes, I've been some time, but
one of the things around here, you talk about technology. Now they're getting, tractors that are automatic and they trim and they, really close without damaging, and it lowers, cost at some point anyway, and it's a little more efficient. But one of the things around here is organics and sustainable farming, regenerative farming. How is that situation going?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We use the different management. We use some traditional management, and also we use some organic, biodynamic. We have a mix between this management in the vineyard and the cellar. We try to, in my opinion, in my philosophy, and in Don Melchor, our philosophy is to improve the life and the biodiversity in the soil, in the vineyard, the cellar, in the team. So we are very concerned about that, the life and the biodiversity from the beginning, from the vineyard in all the process, all the vinification process. So we're very concerned about that.
Is it as much of a movement in your area as it is here?
I think yes. I think today in Chile it's very common. It's a base. Yeah. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
We need it.
And so you have animals on property. You have planting biodiverse plants, insectary, things like that.
Yes,
Some of those
we
biodynamic
have
principles.
corridors, so we have a lot of life and different animals in the vineyard. Yeah.
And is anyone still living on the property?
Not today. In the
Okay.
past, yes.
Yeah.
But today, not today. Yeah.
And what kind of experience, if people go down, what would they expect? Because I think, don't you do food and wine pairings?
Yes, we have so we have a Don Melchor parcel tasting. So you can taste the different parcel.
So from like deconstructed from the final product.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you go to Don Melchor winery, you can taste the different some parcels, and then you can better understand how we make the final blend.
So I have a question about that. So are you actually doing some bottlings of the different parcels that you're using for tastings, or maybe also selling?
Just for tasting. No.
And are those like barrel samples, or are they? And I'm just, because it's a great concept. And here you can do that if you go barrel tasting, but to actually be able to do it, bottled products from the different sections.
We just use for tasting.
Yeah.
And so yes, we keep 2-3 barrels separate from the final blend.
Yeah.
So we can use in this kind of tasting, in this kind of Don Melchor experience.
Yeah.
So if you go to Don Melchor, we can taste the different parcel. We can make the final blend, and then also we have food if you have dinner or lunch. Also now we have a vertical tasting. You can taste some different vintages of Don Melchor. As I said, the first one was 87, so you can taste 88 and then the rest.
And for our listeners who might be planning a trip down there, this is a lot of people would go to visit Santiago, right? And it's easy to get there from Santiago.
Yes,
right?
yeah, because at the end, Don Melchor is located south of Santiago, so by car is 40-50 minutes.
Yeah. So it's not like you're going, well, why would I be there, right? I mean,
or like having to take a Cessna from
right. Although you might want to do that also, because I'm sure
it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Flying along the Andes.
Well, it's such a massive country and so untapped. I mean, it's so much wild land in South America. Totally.
It is, and yes, and we have the Andes Mountain 1 hour and a half, and the Pacific Ocean also 1 hour and a half from Santiago. So you can visit the Andes in winter time. You can ski, and then you can visit the winery.
Yeah.
And then make it for the final surf of the day if you really want to drive. Right?
Yeah.
I think he said the water was a little cold, so bring your wetsuit.
I mean, surfers are surfers.
That's true.
They'll go anywhere.
Go out to the Sonoma coast. There's someone out there today.
Right.
So.
Well, it sounds like you are in a constant search for betterment out of all of these little blocks that you have and lots in every vine. It really, you're approaching this as what's for the future of Don Melchor?
The future, yeah. Every year is a new year. That is every year we must create a new Don Melchor. So every year is a new challenge. It's true. You have more every year. You have more experience. You know more about the soil, about this parcel, the vinification. But I try to start every vintage again. So every year our goal is to make the best Don Melchor, the best quality, because that is very important. When you open every single bottle of Don Melchor, the idea you can taste the best wine from this particular vineyard, from this particular terroir. So I'm so focused on that every day. That's our goal.
Any plans on maybe bottling that Cab Franc that you use in here as a blend? It's quite popular here.
We tried in the past, but at the end it's a confusion. So we are just one wine, one vineyard, one wine, Don Melchor, the best of the best selection from the vineyard. Because as I said, we don't use 100% from the vineyard. We use 60, 70% from the vineyard.
Many winemakers around here have a passion project, something that they're really excited about doing on the side. Have you ever had one of those passion projects?
You're making like grappa at home, or you're making beer in your garage.
Sauvignon Blanc.
No. We made in the past, the 2003, we made a Don Melchor, we call liquor Don Melchor, as a port wine. It is great. We use in our internal meeting or lunch or dinner. We just produced 810 bottles.
Wow. So mostly employees and friends are getting access to that.
We use for our dinner or in Conchidoro, in Don Melchor.
Well, I love this because I've always said that about Opus One. I said, God, I wish they would do like a Sauvignon Blanc Semillon blend or something just to have an alternative. But to be extremely focused on making the best one single wine is amazing. And particularly, I love that you taste blind at first, because I've sat at this table when we've done blending before and everything has labels, and so you see it's free run P1, you see the vineyard it's from, so you automatically have kind of like a little preconceived bias towards that. But I love that idea of just trying everything blind, and so every year it's going to be completely different sources.
Absolutely, yes. And when you are focused on just one wine, at the end you are very, deep. You are deeper in many detail. The parcel, this vine, you know very well the soil, the weather, the vineyard, each parcel, each wine. So
laser focused.
This is more.
I don't know. I was looking at the Instagram feed. The lunch looks pretty good.
Right.
I think we need to see if the Podfather will send us on a field trip, maybe.
There you go.
Down to Chile?
Yeah.
I'll go.
You know, with our.
You've talked a lot about technology today.
I think you talked a lot about technology.
Oh, he's mentioned that he's in charge of technology.
Yeah.
Okay. What's coming up down in Chile?
Yes, we in Conchidoro Group we have a research center. It's in south of Chile. We have a high technology in this center. We have some relationship with Napa, with Bordeaux.
So what are those relationships?
In terms of studying some, in terms of Cabernet Sauvignon, in terms of origin, in terms of vineyard management, in terms of barrel aging, everything. Okay. We are looking about that in Don Melchor, in terms of irrigation, in terms of the vineyard architecture, in terms of the soil, the wine, the aging potential. That is very important also, because Don Melchor is a wine that you can drink right now. 2020 is very young, but also you can age for many years, 20, 30, 40 years or more. Today, if you taste the 87, 88, 89, are doing very well. So it's true, at the end, it's art. But behind that, we have a lot of information, technology. But in my opinion, the most important, the final decision is made by your sense.
Taste.
Taste, yes.
You know, it's nice to taste a 2020 vintage, because around this particular area in California, we didn't have a lot of 2020 red wines, did we, guys?
We had fires.
Yeah,
That happened
unfortunately.
early in the harvest, and so unfortunately, we didn't
yeah.
get a lot of the 2020
Unfortunately,
reds.
yeah.
But a handful of them were really good because I still have some more to sell, guys.
Oh, hey.
Excellent.
The handful that were before the fires.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any of those issues in your area?
Yes, south of Chile we had the year 17, but some particular areas, 17 and 2020 also in the south. Yeah. It's today is not easy in some areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people that are out there listening, I know obviously you have your Sarah and Joan sitting in the other room that are selling this wine, and it sounds like you don't make a lot of it. So how does the average consumer get a hold of this wine if they're not eating out at a restaurant?
Mark Pope's old place.
Okay, so Bounty Hunter here in Napa, and then Joan, you mentioned that you were going over to see a friend of the podcast, Todd, over at Sonoma's Best, and he does. I think he has a website. If he has some of the wines that he will actually, doesn't he do that, Bart? Will he send wines to people?
I think it's pretty limited on what states he can ship to. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Todd definitely has a Rolodex.
Okay.
And a great group of people a great patronage.
Yeah.
Comments from the Peanut Gallery.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Thank you.
It's great.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they want to get the wine,
Absolutely.
but you don't. A lot of us who are in the wine industry, we don't want to pay the price that we have to pay in the restaurant. We'd rather pay at a retail store where the markup isn't as high, especially when you're talking about fine wines like
And
this.
you know who makes the money off of it. It's
Right.
a very direct deal. We
Right.
like local, and I'm sure it's like that in Chile too. Yeah.
All right, John. So I'm putting you on the spot. So
there are some places, on a search, the wine is available. You can find it online at some places.
okay.
So find your local
And what's the pricing in
retailer.
general?
Yeah, right. I mean, here locally, but for our friends across the country, I mean, it is available. And
Yeah, California is a very important market for us because at the end, Cabernet Sauvignon is a very important variety here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
some people want to taste some different Cabernet Sauvignon from different areas. So it is here. It's a very important market for us.
Yeah, I mean, you can find it out there, folks. You might have to do a little search and get it shipped to you, but it is available. So get out there and try it.
Yeah, I wanted to
Delicious.
get Joan involved here since you were kind enough to bring Enrique for the show. It's really nice to see you. Pleasure to have you on the show, really. I don't think we've spoken with any Chilean manufacturers before. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
Well,
you.
it's fascinating because it's it's a very different culture. It's very different seasons. So
Yes.
you're
I know when he said harvest in April, all of us were like, "What?"
Like, okay, how's bud break doing?
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to see what kind of technology you use, what the innovation and
the terroir
farming, and the terroir. It's so and stunning views. Wow, I mean, your website is awesome, very very nicely done. So. And I mean, quite frankly, you are importing quite a bit into the U.S., and that's a very good thing. I'm sure you're forecasting an increase in that through John, right here in town.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you. Let me know when you go to Chile.
Yeah. No, I've heard the list of places that they're going today, and it's some of the best restaurants in Napa and Sonoma. So they're gonna have a good day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We should tag along.
Oh, I wish. Are you kidding? But I don't think they want that, John.
Well,
Yeah.
Always good to have cheerleaders.
We'll leave it here behind the microphone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think so.
Enrique, thank you so much. Totally appreciate it. Welcome to Sonoma and welcome to Napa as well. And good luck. Hope everything goes well today. And thank you for turning me on to the wine. I think I had mentioned before we started the show that I had Concha y Toro wines before, but never associated the Don Melchor with Concha y Toro. So now I know this is like the flagship,
Very
right?
best.
This is
This is the mothership.
right.
Yeah.
And please come back.
Thank you.
We'd
Thank
love
you
to
so
have
much.
you on, see
Yes.
what the future
Come back and
holds.
do a tasting here.
Absolutely.
Sure. Or,
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
yeah.
Gentlemen, any shout outs today?
Well, we always interested in updates with Bart and what's going on with his tasting room because we have people that always want to.
I'm still. I've had people calling. Thank you very much for calling. Continue to call. I have started to reserve some dates for some people.
Wow.
But I'm still waiting for our friends at the California ABC. For a license transfer. So shame on me for ever even like teasing it, because I think I jinxed myself from the minute I teased that this was happening. But we're ready, and it's been fun. You know, I've been sitting up there using it as my office, and but
Do you have as much bureaucracy in wine and wine sales as we do here?
that's John Myers who said that, not me.
Not you.
Okay.
Okay. Don't take it
That's
out.
that's an independent statement by him.
I mean, we think of like France for a lot of regulation, but is there a lot of regulation with what goes on in Chile with the government getting involved in?
We have a denomination DO
Yeah.
as a DO, and then
Our AVA.
then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that would compare to an AVA.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's not like France where you can only grow
No.
certain varieties in
No,
certain
no, no,
places.
no.
You could rip out all that Cabernet and put in Grenache if you wanted to.
Absolutely. If you want, you can buy a land. You can produce as you want.
Yeah.
But at the end, the regulation. Okay, we have a origin regulation in terms of varieties, in terms of geographical denomination. At the end, our most important regulation is the client, the market. We must produce the best from the different areas, from the different origin.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Any other shout outs? I don't know exactly when this show is going to air, but
No idea, quite frankly.
I-
We've got a lot in the can. Now.
I know 16600 is going to be pouring at the at a jazz event that's coming up here in March in Sonoma, which is going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, we're here for us. This is sort of the relaxing time where
Yes.
we've gotten done with harvest and we've starting to taste some of the barrel samples from 23. But then everything's going to sort of get put to bed. The weather's a little bit cooler, and so we get a little chance to catch up with family and watch football and right.
Not your kind of
And Bart,
No.
I will ask you, since Sam is not here to represent the growing side, what is going on in the fields? What are the folks from Enterprise Vineyards doing, and your folks?
I mean,
They've pruned and
yeah, so there's certainly some pruning going on. There are some places that do pre-pruning where they send it in through a crew and just kind of cut off the real long stuff. So you see a little bit of that, but there's also been some specific pruning started. Cover crops are starting to grow. Mustard's officially
yes,
here.
popping up.
Our friend Todd. Todd was the first one I saw on social media out there.
Here we go.
And I'm like, Todd, you've lowered yourself to that.
picture with the mustard?
Yeah.
So Enrique, we plant the
So-
mustard out
and I-
here, and then people will just pull off the
We
side
don't
of the
plant
road
it. It
and
just
take
grows.
pictures because it gets really high. So then they bring the kids, and so everything you
Yes.
see on social media is the kids running around in the mustard. So it's become a joke around here.
So that sort of stuff's going on. If there's not cover crop or grass growing between your vines, you might be using too much herbicide. What else is going on? That's about it. I think it's a quiet time, as it should be.
And obviously everything is getting really well watered.
Yeah, I actually did talk to a couple growers the other day that both said that what they'd like is they're loving the rain, but they wish there was a little bit of time in between the storms because they'd like to get out there and there is things to do. And if it just wasn't so wet,
I think
and some of that is you have to be out there, constantly watching to make sure your swaddles are all, holding back any silt or whatever. You have to make sure that what the water that's coming off your vineyard should be clear or very, very clear. So we're worried about runoff this time of year, erosion,
especially on these mountain vineyards up on Moon Mountain.
Well, I think we have 4 or 5 sunny days coming up in a row here.
That would be amazing.
And then some a little more rain, but looking forward to those sunny days. It makes such a difference. You wake up in the morning and see sun. It's like, okay, I'm ready to get out of bed.
Get out.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Enrique, thank you so very much for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, and the wine's
see you
beautiful.
soon. See you next time.
John, I was gonna. That's why I was gonna put you on the spot and say,
hoping not.
say 1 to 10. What John or Cabernet drinker rating this wine?
This is an excellent wine. I'm really enjoying it.
I thought you.
I grew up on Bordeaux, and that was my wine until I met Brian, and I would go into our local restaurant that's Rhone only. I would go in there and Brian would help me expand my palate. I'll just say that. I love Sauvignon Blancs and lighter crisp whites. Not a big Chardonnay fan, but my red tastes, I love Grenache and the blends, especially GSM blends. But my favorite has always been Bordeaux blends.
He's the Cabernet king here. Yeah.
So, cheers. Much appreciated the tasting. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you.